I'm like, oh, shit. I even went in front of my security. I'm like, oh, shit, let me go tap it with Birdman real quick. We about to watch it. As soon as I walk down, I see Jim Jones. Now, I'm going to keep it a being with y'all. And again, I'm only speaking from my perspective. And y'all know, like, when I be telling these stories, I don't never be hyping nothing, right? Like, I think I'm pretty fair. I was walking quickly to get to Birdman, but right behind Birdman was Jim Jones. Jim Jones had brought his mom there. I didn't even realize he brought his mom. Like, Mama Jones, he brought his mom. So I'm walking mad quickly. But I ain't gonna lie to you, I think the way Jim seen it was like I'm walking up on him. I swear. Like, cause I'm walking mad quick. And so I see Birdman and I see Jim Jones. And I'm like, oh, Jim, what up? Now let me tell you the history with me and Jim. I don't know if in history. I did an interview with Kanye West. Kanye West said he gave Jim Jones $2 million and he was mad that Jim Jones couldn't make him a PDF. Okay, that went viral. Jim was trying to get some buzz at the time. Jim, I don't know how, like, through an intermediary, hits me to say, yo, I want to do an interview responding to Ye. It never happened, but while I set it up, Jim says to me, yo, we should probably get on the phone because, I just want to make sure we good, right? That happens with mad artists, Chad. Like, sometimes an artist want to talk to you before getting on set with you because they don't know if you about to just ask them some federal shit or whatever. So that's valid with me. It's all cool. So that's the last thing I know about anything with me and Jim Jones.
I'm thinking, oh, I even went in front of my security. Oh, let me go tap over Berman real quick, I say. We're going to observe. I meet Jim Jones as soon as I come down. I'm going to continue being with you all now. Once more, I'm only expressing my viewpoint. You guys are aware that I never hype anything when I share these stories, aren't you? I consider myself to be rather fair. I was moving swiftly to catch up to Birdman, but Jim Jones was immediately behind Birdman. Jim Jones had his mother with him. I was completely unaware that he had brought his mother. He brought his mother just like Mama Jones. I'm moving at a breakneck pace. I won't lie to you, though. I believe Jim perceived that as me approaching him. I promise. Like, because I'm moving so fast. And then I see Jim Jones and Birdman, and I say, oh, Jim, what's up? Let me now share with you Jim's and my past. I'm not sure if it's historical. I'm not sure if it's in history. I spoke with Kanye West in an interview. Kanye West claimed that he was upset that Jim Jones was unable to convert him to PDF after giving him $2 million. All right, that went viral. At the moment, Jim was attempting to generate some buzz. Jim, I'm not sure how, but I feel like someone is hitting me to say, hey, I'd like to do an interview in response to Ye. Look, it didn't happen. Jim tells me, yo, we should probably get on the phone because, I just want to make sure we're good while I'm setting everything up. Correct, chat? That's what happens with crazy artists. For example, artists may want to speak with you before working with you on set because they are unsure. You will simply ask them a federal question or whatever. That makes sense to me. Then, speak. That concludes my knowledge of anything involving Jun and me. It sounds awesome to be a content developer, but there's a catch. You talk so much every day that you are unable to recall half of it. For example, suppose that in 3 years I get to meet Lil TJ. I won't recall my remarks from last week regarding him. But believe me, those remarks will stick in his memory because they struck him in a different way. That's the danger when your views are permanently posted online. Not everyone will react the same. Way 2K's hours-long live commentary about every player in the game. Here's the twist now. It's likely not even about Axe taking on Jim Jones in this drama. It's more likely that Axe's relationship with 6ix9ine is the root of Jimmy's issue. You see, they don't give a damn about who their own man is on the streets. They observe the person you are standing next to. Additionally, Jim comes from a culture that values tradition and loyalty over reason. Consider it. A severe blow was delivered to Jim's circle when 6ix9ine flipped. Mel Matrix and Shotty, among others, were slammed with 10 to 15 years. When 6ix9ine moved on, they lost everything. Therefore, it's almost as if you're guilty by association if you're an academic and you're supporting. 6x9 in advancing his career to a street person like Jim Jones. That is the energy causing this heat at the moment. This is the attitude. Jim Jones has smoke with you as well if you're still standing next to 6ix9ine today. Whether it is reasonable, logical, or even fair is irrelevant. There are times when logic doesn't exist in street politics. Jim arrived with what some refer to as youthful vitality. Let's face it though, what's so awesome about being a stubborn beginner at over 50 years old? Cool.
So now, so when I see Jim Jones, I'm like, "Oh, Jim, what up?" And Jim, what up back at me? It's a different type of what up. He's like, "What up?" And I'm like, "Whoa." Now, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if it's how I walked up, because I walked up like OG3. Remember, you saw OG3 walked up with me? I walked up, but I wasn't. I was just walking quickly to get to Birdman. Whatever. So anyway, that happened. I'm like, damn. I'm like, first of all, I'm gonna give Jim his credit. Jim was the oldest YN in the building, but he was on YN timing. I'm gonna keep it a beat. I ain't no liar. Jim, I just Google his age. Jim 49. Jim was the oldest YN up in the building then, but he was on YN timing. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you can tell. Jim, and I said to myself, I said, maybe it's because of Young Boy concert. Everybody a little bit aggressive here. So I go over to say, yo, Jim, we gotta get up and we gotta go do the interview. That's what I'm like, we gotta go do the interview. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I don't know if it's because Young Boy was on stage. Jim Jones turned to a YN on me. I swear. Jim Jones was like, yo, hold on, let me holler at you, man. Let me holler at you. And you know what, nigga just start getting to be a little bit more fidget. I'm like, is he okay now? Jim is like, yo, listen, man, I gotta talk to you. I'm like, all right, what up, what's good? He's like, yo. Now, he was taking a second to kind of get out his point, but this was his point. And I was trying to like do the whole quote thing, but he was like, he kept asking questions like, yo, do y'all think shit y'all do online is cool? So I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm kind of confused, honestly. I'm legit confused. And I know some people are going to be like, no, accurate, playing dumb. But I'm kind of confused because I'm also trying to figure out what it could be, right? And I didn't get too much info out of him. But he mentioned 6ix9ine. He said, whatever 6ix9ine. Then he's like, yo, y'all gotta know, it ain't safe when niggas is playing with me like that. And I'm thinking about, I'm like, what the do I?
Not a thing. Respect isn't that. That's a sign of desperation. Let's dissect it now. The story told by the academic doesn't even sound like youthful enthusiasm. It sounds like a man understanding he's up against the internet, which he can't defeat. Jim is aware that 6ix9ine is not a threat when they meet in person. Tekashi is a peon in the streets. He can barely stand in the same room as Jim or equal his resume. However, the internet is a very different battlefield. 6ix9ine was an expert in that digital realm. He is skilled at manipulating headlines, influencing blogs, rewriting stories, and making sure his is the most popular story. Jim is also unable to prevail there. Imagine scrolling through the news at home and seeing headlines like 6ix9ine exposes paperwork, or 6ix9ine calls Jim Jones a rat. As the pressure increases, Jim is now compelled to react. 6ix9ine is dangerous online, not because he is in real life. That's what Jim Jones finds most annoying. Jim Jones is obviously annoyed. You see, WAC 100 is tight with Akademiks. As everyone is aware, Jim and WAC have been at each other's throats for years. What then takes place? AK finds itself in the line of fire. Jimmy doesn't even seem to have a direct conflict with E more accurately. He is unable to touch WAC. He is unable to approach 6ix9ine. He is now aiming for the lone man in the center. Scholars consider it. It wasn't even on a case. Its platform when 6ix9ine to vent about Jim. On another podcast, he did it. This implies that Jim's current level of energy had to develop after the incident. The worst part is still to come. Jim was contacting people, set up an interview. He desired to speak with him over the phone. So I asked for a sit down if you truly experienced all of this animosity before. It doesn't add up. It appears to be phony. You seem to be trying to achieve your shine by being cool. But when it didn't work out, you got smoke all of a sudden. Jimmy played it correctly at first. He put the performance aside and desired a face-to-face discussion. That is admirable. That's how mature men deal with problems. Then it changed. The mature attitude abruptly gave way to some juvenile actions. And it's embarrassing to witness a man who is 49 or practically 50 years old act like a youngster. For example, why are you even hosting that show? It appears to be more like publicized desperation than power. Academics based on appearances. Telling Jim, bro, are we good? He seemed cool. We are going to conduct an interview. I'm not interested in drama. Nothing was being pressed by A. He was relaxed and attempting to maintain a low-key atmosphere. However, Jim was the one who began to turn it up.
I kept trying to ask him, I said, what me and 6ix9ine got to do with you? Or what I got to do with if you and 6ix9ine got something? Now, granted, Chad, I keep telling you, rappers are the best at, if they can't find the person they don't like, someone else inherits. So it's like Dave Free see me, and Dave Free saying, yo, well, I'll never see Drake ever in life, so let me tell you why I'm mad at Drake. Okay. I guess Jim Jones is like, he's mad at 6ix9ine? And I was thinking, I'm like, yo, is he mad at, like, how is he mad at 6ix9ine and coming to me? Y'all two were 9 Trey Bloods. I was never a 9 Trey Blood, and I don't want to be one. If y'all got a problem, and here's the thing, I was thinking about their issue a little bit more. When 6ix9ine was a 9 Trey Blood, Jim knew about it before everybody got locked up. He could have prevented this by trying to do whatever he had to do then. 6ix9ine gets locked up with some of the 9 Trey dudes, tells on the 9 Trey dudes, and then afterwards, 6ix9ine is still clowning because 6ix9ine like wearing that rat sleeve. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't care. But anyway, that happened. I was trying to see, like, because usually me, I'm one of them people, I talk, like, I have that conversation. I know some of y'all, like, again, after that handshake and even like that energy, I could have just said, I'm gonna just leave him open. I walked up, I thought we could have a conversation. He just wasn't trying to have a conversation. So he was just like, yo, man, I ain't trying to have no conversation. He's like, listen, man, just enjoy the show. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, yo, he said something like, yo, and if anybody got a problem with me, they can let me know. I'm like, all right. Anyway.
Headspace. Pulling a man away to examine him is something I can explain. It's mature behavior. However, this tripping out energy is like seeing ghosts in a room full of people who are only trying to have fun. Everyone was having a time, laughing and grooving if you watch the backstage footage from the Young Boy event. With the exception of Jim, who appeared to be preparing for battle, nobody else was engaged in combat. That is the most absurd aspect. Jim made a major scene out of what ought to have been a typical evening. He gave the impression that the room was against him, even though no one backstage was considering beef. That is blatant insecurity, especially for a man of his standing. He made tension out of thin air, rather than enjoying the show or getting an interview with ACT. And for a seasoned player, that is not appearance. Additionally, consider the visuals. Jim Jones entering a Young Boy performance, which has one of the rap industry's sexiest and youngest audiences. And he's snatching at Akademiks like it's life or death rather than being composed. That doesn't seem as tough to the younger generation. It sounds as though it was pressed. It seems as though he is attempting to convince those who have already moved on from that kind of energy of something. Scholars, meanwhile, emerged unscathed. He remained calm, did not correspond with the animosity. And Jimmy looks even worse because at over 50, you're standing in a room full of young celebrities shouting about issues that no one else notices. It gives the impression that you are unfit and weak. Online users are already making fun of the video, claiming that Jim appears desperate, paranoid, and trapped in a bygone period. Ultimately, this isn't about coming out on top. It has to do with image. Jim Jones appeared to have lost control of himself at that very time. Instead of the recognition he sought, he received rumors that perhaps the pressure was finally getting to him.
Jim was on his YN energy, man. I'm hoping he was just in a, maybe an upset frame of mind for that time, but I don't know. Then everybody else tells me, they're like, I ain't gonna lie to you, that's exactly how Jim is. He's usually pretty angry. So, whatever. The only thing that I could really think about, obviously 6ix9ine's been saying whatever about Jim Jones, right? They're both in a gang, right? I'm a nigga. If Jim Jones says something about 6ix9ine, I'm posting. If 6ix9ine says something about Jim Jones, I'm posting that too. Like, that is what it is. I was thinking maybe it was this clip. Like, I was thinking it was this clip. I think we posted it. Let me see if I can find it. I think it was the clip where 6ix9ine did the podcast with Charleston White and Steiny, and he talked about Mel Matrix, right? Because, like, again, he wouldn't like tell me exactly what it is, but I felt like it was over some 9 Trey blood shit. That's what I'm saying. Jim Jones is still moving around like YN, bro.
The response was harsh after the videos were posted online. Supporters didn't hold back. Jim wasn't looking like a boss, according to others. He appeared to be a man battling darkness. Some even that his battle with paranoia was more intense than his battle with Akademiks. And since the streets profit off perception, that is the worst thing for someone like Jim. That air of control begins to crumble. The moment someone suspects you're losing your composure, fans referred to him as an old man stuck in 2009. While some claimed that Akademiks really looked more solid by remaining composed, Twitter was ablaze with jokes and memes. Consider that. The rapper who based his entire reputation on respect seems tougher than the media person when he leaves. That changes the course of events in a way Jim most certainly did not want. Furthermore, let's face it, Jimmy has previously been under pressure from the internet. It trends each time 6ix9ine drags his name. People magnify Whack 100's shade every time it is thrown. Jim grabs the bait instead of letting it go, and the internet devours it once more. He seems to be playing into the hands of the exact individuals he says he despises at this point. Because of this, the entire affair seems more significant than a simple backstage occurrence. It concerns Jim Jones's current perception. He is beginning to appear to many fans less like the untouchable Harlem veteran and more like someone who's been shaken by the game he used to dominate. The atmosphere backstage was one of love. I actually witnessed OG3 approach Vlad and give him a prolonged embrace that lasted for around 30 seconds. That was how joyful everyone was. There was no negative vibe about the area. Everything was good. Outside, it's different now. The fans went crazy. Some people are even fighting in the crowd, and one guy was assaulted for simply shouting, "Free Lil Dirt." Backstage, however, there was an open celebration. Since YoungBoy can now wander about freely, everyone is expressing their adoration. At last able to travel. That was the intended purpose of the evening. Jim Jones, however, entered with the wrong attitude and chose not to participate in that moment. Additionally, it appeared humiliating. It's nothing gangster, nothing noteworthy, simply cheesy. Jimmy has actual enemies in the real world, actual problems related to living on the streets. He says he has a large list of real operations out there if he wants to press someone. However, Akademiks over anything, 6ix9ine stated that it wasn't a good look when act wasn't even in place. Jimmy comes across as pressed over the incorrect person as a result. I will now leave it to you all. What are your thoughts? Was this merely Jimmy lashing out at the wrong time and place? Or did Akademiks really do something to Jim that we are unaware of? Leave your opinions in the comments section. Remember to hit the like button. Subscribe to DribZen, share this video, and continue the conversation. The society doesn't sleep, and neither do